Morning, morning, morning. Hope you guys are having a great morning. If you watch this in the afternoon, evening, night, or if this is your night, good night. What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Classic dropping a car vlog. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Nobody tells you today, remember that God loves you, Christ loves you, and I love you as well. And I say that, and I mean that. I mean every aspect of it, because I know a lot of people are looking for love, but they're looking for a form of love. But you do have everlasting love from God. So much that when we fall short of the glory, He sent His Son, which is a form of Himself, to die for our sins, for a chance to meet our Father and our Creator. You know, the bad decisions that we make and some of the stuff that we do is paid for. But it does not mean that we should do it, because we have our own free will, which is why we should yield to God's will, because our will bends. We'll have the will to do this, and then we'll have the will to do that another day. God's will doesn't work like that. We are submissive to time, as in I'm going to work now, I have to be there at a certain time. God does not work that way. God is eternal. And if God is eternal, God is love, which is also in the Bible. So God's love is eternal as well. Sometimes it may be hard for us to see it and feel it, because we may be used to love a certain way, but it is there. And sometimes He puts people in our lives to tell us that. And hopefully I am a vessel to tell you guys that God does love you. And if you are going through something, I'm praying that you break through it. Or if you have to live with an ailment, I pray that you still seek God and have solace in that. You know, because one, it could be worse, and also two, it could be something that's going into a testimony. You know, when the more you read the Word, the more you understand that trials and tribulations happen, and life is hard. There are challenges. I mean, Christ Himself was crying before He did the great sacrifice and had to pray and ask for an angel to console Him. So honestly, human emotions are real. You know, Lafayette in the building. What's going on, Robert Brown? Hope everything going good with you, sir. What is going on? Make sure you guys subscribe to the Take It Home podcast, where I talk about professional wrestling topics, and I put in my Masters Classic Alpha, professional wrestler of 13 years. Make sure you also subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. That is me and my wife's professional wrestling company. We put our whole show of the 11th hour. It is available on the C3 Ultimate Wrestling channel, so watch that show. Next show is this Sunday. I mean, not this Sunday. I'm sorry, this Wednesday, Fright Night, Dalton, Illinois. Free show. Seating is limited, so if you want tickets to that or just a seat there, let me know. But then also February 21st, 2026, Big Business, B-I-G Business, named after the C3 Ultimate Wrestling World Champion, Joseph Ira Credit. So Detroit feel, Detroit vibe, and everything. It's going to be back in Dyer, Indiana at Harrah's Private Venue. Make sure you get your tickets when they are available. Nothing much this shit. I'm off to work. So yeah, usually, if I'm doing these car vlogs in the morning, I'm going to work. In the evening, it may be work, or I may be coming from a show, or I could just, randomly do it. But yeah, I'm going to work, man. God bless you. I love wrestling. Ever since I was a young lad, and I was watching it with my great grandfather and stuff. That's what made me a wrestling fan. And switching from TNT and USA, Monday Night Raw, Monday Nitro, and stuff like that, I remember those vividly and stuff. And I remember when I was younger, me and at my house, we didn't have cable at the time. We was getting situated. We didn't have cable. And we used to go to our great-grandparents' house and wait until my mom got off work to pick us up. And I used to hate it because I didn't like them like that. I eventually loved them and stuff. Them was my aces, but still, it was just, I felt a certain way about it. But one thing happened. After Walker, Texas Ranger, Raw was on. And then you could also watch Monday Nitro. And my great-grandfather, my papa, he would definitely switch between the channels. And around the time wrestling would come in, I'd say like an hour afterwards, my mom would come pick us up, and I'd be like, oh man, I wanted to stay and watch wrestling. Like, man, what's going on? So No, they if they are, they'll be good. I'm not looking at the camera like that, and I'm also doing the speed limit. Shout out to you though. No, I don't really listen to rock music. If it is, it's like old rock or whatever. Like I used to like Kill Switch, Engage, In the Heartache. I used to play that a lot. I thought that was like a dope song. And there's other songs too that like slip me, but I'm not like an avid rock fan. But still, you know, wrestling has always been like a big thing, a big part of my life, even before I started doing it, right? You guys know when I met my wife, 2 days, it'll be 12 years married, 14 years together. My wife is one of the, if not the key reason why I'm wrestling now for 13 years. She used to wrestle before I even met her, you know, and then she stopped. But I used to, you know, when we started talking, she would show me pictures. She was a champ. She was wrestling. She was trained, and she was pretty good. Like some of the people who I wrestled with and went to shows with, they knew who she was because of what she used to do when she was younger. So, and she came back for a little bit when I started wrestling, and then now she does her own thing, and we just work together as a powerhouse with C3 and with a whole bunch of stuff. So, still, wrestling has been a very big part of my life. So that's why I care about it so much, because I think not only do I think I'm good at it, I also think that it is a gift from God, and I also think that it is a form of serving. You know, when we do C3, or when I'm wrestling as Classic Alpha, I am definitely in servitude mode. I'm going to show you guys and gals that what a wrestler looks like. I'm going to show you, I'm going to get the kids behind me and stuff like that. I'm going to make people be happy to see it. I want to make sure those cell phones is down. I don't want you looking at your phone. Maybe look at the time, but I don't want you looking at your phone. I want you guys to look at something that is great. You guys have paid money, regardless if it's $5 or $10 or $100. I want to make sure you got your money's worth when you see Classic Alpha. Same thing for when you buy a ticket to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. I want you to leave and be like, you know what? That money was well worth spent. I've been to shows to where some people are upset. I've seen people boo. I've seen people leave in the middle of the show. I've seen people leave reviews. I've seen a whole bunch of stuff happen because they were not satisfied. And that is something that I am not trying to do. I've had a chance to, though. I remember one time me and Cobra, shout out to him, our first match in Grant Park. I loved the match, and he loved the match too. And I remember like somebody, I guess, got tired of us wrestling and was like, this is boring. This was at the beginning of the match. But then at the end of the match, nobody was saying it. People was losing their minds. I'm definitely going to go back and watch it. My chance that you watched the Diddy since. I know he has, what, like 4 or 5 years? So, you know, hey, I'll say this. You know, what's done in the dark come to the light. You know, the punishment he may receive here, it may not, it won't compare to what God has in store. But that's between him and God at the end of the day. You know, with stuff like that, people knew what was going on for years. You know, we did, allegedly, and stuff like that. A lot of people know that some of these celebrities, you know, do these kind of things. R. Kelly's a good example too. Like, when I came up here to Indiana and stuff like that, and when I was in Illinois, a lot of the people I work with, they had stories about R. Kelly in certain places he wasn't supposed to be. Talking about the Diddy stuff, people have been talking about Diddy for years, and then we used to watch Making the Band and seeing how he treated those people. It's one thing to be a disciplinary, but then, excuse me, it's another thing to just be a prick. But I'll just say that. So it is what it is at this point, you know. Yeah, 4 years. But yeah, wrestling has definitely been like something that has been very, very important to my life. So like when I'm looking at shows that are on TV and making a lot of money and very successful financially, and I'm looking at them, and they're doing stuff, they're making moves and stuff. If it's good, it's good, and it's bad, it's bad. You know, like you know, I think this year I've been the most critical on both of them, AEW and WWE. Especially with like WWE, because of they're becoming successful, but the quality that they're bringing is a problem. It's just the match quality is just not good. Things are repetitive. and stuff like that. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Sim spoke about it and said that, shout out to Sim, you know, they are kind of like rinsing and repeating stuff with Seth, Jay, and Roman, which is true. The only thing is they keep trying to add different ingredients to it, and it's not right. Audie only, you can leave. Thanks, Robert Brown. Thank you. I'm definitely about to get him. But still, like even Seth and Roman have been feuding for a long time, except that they've had other things joining in it, CM Punk. So now it's Division, now it's a whole bunch of stuff. So it's like some things can be repetitive, but as long as it's good. I don't know if I can really say it's good, but it's alright. But going back into it, but going back into it, you know, and I've spoke about this last week. Some people probably be like, you know, if you complain about it, if you're talking about it, you don't like it, why do you watch it? Because I still like wrestling. Sometimes it's not just about the company per se, it's about wrestling. And you know, I have C3, and then I can always like look at C3 stuff and I can promote it, which I do, and I could talk about that. You know, I review my own matches and I review my own shows on this channel. You know, when I watch the PLEs, I will review it. When I was watching AEWs, I will review their pay-per-views and stuff like that. Shout out to you, lover. So still, I would do those kind of things. So it's just like, because I love wrestling. Sometimes it's like you don't per se love the company, you just love wrestling. Now, WWE at one point, I think, has a soft spot for a lot of people who grew up watching it, or if their parents watched it and stuff like that. AEW, people have a soft spot for them because they're showing that another company can thrive while WWE is still like the number one. You know? So I can talk about both. And if it goes to a point where I'm not talking about either one of them, I'll be totally fine, because I can talk about independent scene, I can talk about C3, I can talk about me, I can talk about the experiences and stuff like that. I can say, ask a wrestler a question. You know, if I start watching them, I'm still going to be a wrestler at the end of the day, Lord willing. I'm still going to be a promoter at the end of the day, Lord willing. So I do want to speak about that kind of stuff too. Wrestling is great. Wrestling to me is a form of servitude. Not only as a servitude for the fans show gratitude to us, and that's the biggest thing. Joseph Ira credit, right? C3 Ultimate Wrestling Champion. When he won the title at the 11th hour, he cried. And when we talked about it, you know, he cried because of the fans' reactions to it. If you guys remember, I believe it was still the show, some people was like making fun of him and stuff like that. And you know, even my kids and stuff, they, you know, he grabbed the mic and was trying to speak passionately. And some of the kids that was with my son and stuff like that, they were saying stuff to him, and he started getting on them. They started being quiet though. Good morning, guys, and stuff like that. So sometimes that does make wrestlers feel a certain way. I'm not sitting here saying feel sorry for Joseph or anybody, but still, you know, this guy's been working so hard to finally make it to the top of C3 Ultimate Wrestling. So when the fans are happy and they're excited, it's a sweet thing to see. This man has lost a lot of weight. This man has done a lot of stuff. The man has dealt with losses, but he's also dealt with gains. Just what humans do, right? But still, he's so relatable, and I'm so proud of my brother for making it to the top and stuff like that. Those are magic moments, you know. I wish that it could be on bigger platforms and grander scales, but we do have things like YouTube and Facebook to talk about these things. So maybe eventually it may hit a higher platform or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Whatever the Lord says is for me, it's for me. Whatever he says is for C3, it's for C3. But wrestling is very, very dope. It's very dope to me. Like, I can look at a match and I can be like, I don't look at matches like, okay, look at these two wrestlers wrestle. I look at them as my competition. Hey, what can I do to stop that and stuff? And then I also watch it as a fan. Okay, I'm excited for this match. Some matches are great. Some matches are not great. Some matches that I expect to not be that great or great, and some matches I expect to be great don't be great. Those kind of things happen. Amen. God bless you. So still, you know what I'm saying? Like, wrestling is just very, very important to me. You know, I've dealt with the people who say it's the F word, or oh, what about this? You know, you're hurting yourself and stuff like that. And some of that stuff is somewhat true. I'm old now. I'm 36, y'all. I'm 36. And, you know, some of these moves do be hurting. Some of them sting. They got some tang to it. And Those are the kind of things that we do as wrestlers to sacrifice. And you guys know me. I'm not sitting here saying, please feel bad for me because I decided to do this with my body. I don't want you guys to do that neither. You guys know me. But still, wrestling is just very, very dope. You know, a lot of people, I've met a lot of great people. I've done great business with people. I've seen people say they was something and they wasn't. Those kind of things happen, man. It's just a part of life. You know, we normal people too. I'm going to work. I'm heading to work. We are normal people, and wrestling is our canvas. Wrestling is our microphone. Wrestling is our playing field. It's our basketball court. It's football field. It's everything to a lot of us who wrestle. Yes, I do. I wrestle. I've been wrestling for 13 years, and I have a wrestling company with my wife, C3 Ultimate Wrestling. We've been doing that for 6 years. So yes, I do wrestle. So, you know, and some people, when I tell people that I wrestle, sometimes they don't know about the independent scene. They know about WWE and AEW because it's on TV. And to me, when I see that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make you guys understand that you need to see a C3 or you need to see a Classic Alpha or whatever like that. Sometimes forms of servitude is you need to show people that they need to watch your product, that they need to support your product and stuff like that. And to me, my mind is always working when it comes to wrestling. How can I do this? What can I do? What matches can I put together that I know the fans would love? Because I got to use my fan sense, not just the wrestling sense, right? And that's one of those things that just been working for C3. We've had pushbacks. Like I said, hopefully this inspires somebody. We've had pushbacks before. We've had to cancel shows. We've had people say they was going to show up to the show and they didn't show up. We had wrestlers that was supposed to show up, didn't show up. We've had pushback just like anything else, but you still have to press on. You have to press on. Okay, something didn't work. You have to figure out, okay, what will work? You have to do those kind of things. Those things are very important. I always figured the TV version was on stage. I wouldn't even say stage. I would say scripted more than for the most part, but some of these moves that we take and some of the stuff that happened, 100% real. You know, we are trained. We're supposed to be trained. You know, when I say professional wrestling, that's different from some people. Some people think professional wrestling is just what's on TV. Me, professional is how you carry yourself. But yeah, it's definitely some components to it, especially like, you know, like I said, I don't like to try to pull people's leg about what it is, especially with wrestlers exposing so much stuff and also WWE exposing a lot of the stuff as well. But yeah, wrestling is definitely something that I just love. I continue to love. Obviously, you know, I do things with my wife as far as wrestling is concerned. Being in Dyer, Indiana, shout out to Harold's Private Venue. You know, we do magic there. We continue to grow. You know, we was growing in Hammond, and then when Hammond started doing stuff, not the city of Hammond. Let me say the building. I don't want to disrespect the city of Hammond. The building that we was at. They started acting funny because they knew when they saw contact sports in that gym, they could start doing MMA, they could start doing boxing, they could start doing a whole bunch of stuff. So they kind of started like phasing us out on purpose so they can try to make a profit at the building. Those kind of things happen. And, it's unfortunate. And the only thing I can do for them is press on. I can sit here all day and post about it and speak videos about it, but no, I have to forgive them for the sake of me because I can't have that in my heart. It's no point. But wrestling is definitely a great thing. I fight for it. I champion great quality wrestling. I've talked to people. Some wrestlers agree with me on certain things and some disagree. I've talked to fans. Some agree and some disagree. I don't want to say too much that is subjective. At one point, I did say it was subjective, but now, as the big age that I'm in and what I do, I don't consider it subjective. We know what great wrestling is. You can be a fan of a wrestler. You cannot be a fan of a wrestler. But at this point, I think we all know what great wrestling is. Can we give people grace? Yes, they're new. Or maybe they just started. Or maybe they are nervous because that's a human emotion. But still, I can't sit here at this point and be like, okay, well, this is just great wrestling. You know, if it's not good, it's good. It's not. Do I want better? Yes. You know, that's why I promote my company. I can promote other companies too. When you get the chance, check out Dietrich Davis from New Wrestling World on YouTube and myself, former pro wrestler. All right, I'll check them out. It builds self-confidence for something. Yeah, wrestling is something. is a gift that some of us can do because we can't do other things. Now me, I feel like I'm a great basketball player. I feel like I can do a whole bunch of stuff. I think if I wanted to delve in funny stuff and comedy, I feel like I could put my mind to, if I put my mind to anything, I can do it, honestly. Sometimes people don't have that. Sometimes wrestling is their only thing, right? That's why they're trying to make it to the top, you know. And sometimes people fall short of that. Sometimes people make it, or sometimes people just enjoy the ride. Had one of the homies just retired this year. You know, he said his body ain't the same and stuff like that. So those kind of things happen. But I did want to speak about it to you guys. You know, I love y'all. Obviously, I'm praying for y'all. You know, be blessed, have a blessed day. But wrestling is just one of those things where I'm going to always speak about. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to always speak about it. And if I don't like certain things from watching it, I'm going to speak about it. Peace and love. Good vibes. So I do hope you guys have a wonderful day. God bless you guys. This is Chris Classic. Stay home.